Alrighty, today I'm going to be talking to you about psychiatric medications. Some facts for you to know about psychiatric medications are that 1 in 6 Americans are on psychiatric drugs. Worldwide, over 100 million people are on psychiatric drugs. 17 million children worldwide are on psychiatric medications. And altogether, in regards to mental illness, 46.6 million people have a mental illness, and a good amount of that portion are on these psychiatric drugs. A psychiatric medication is a licensed psychoactive drug that is taken to exert an effect on your brain chemicals and your nervous system. Psychiatric drugs are dangerous and should be avoided. There's many side effects that occur when taking these psychiatric drugs, and they can alter a person more so than before they were even on the medication. A big reason to avoid these psychiatric drugs is that there's no physical testing that can prove that you have the disorder that they are prescribing you medication for. What I mean by this is that there is no blood test they can do, urine test, or any kind of mental scanning that they can do on you to prove that you have anything wrong with you. Therefore, there's no specific yes or no on if you really have the disorder. The issue with this as well that occurs because of that is that people get misdiagnosed very often, and often for minor symptoms, when truly they may not have that wrong with them, but they still are diagnosed for it and prescribed something for it. Along with that, many psychiatrists abuse people's natural responses. What is meant by that is that natural responses are the way that you react when you go in and sit with a psychiatrist. They only see you for a short amount of time, and they are allowed to use that judgment of that time period to prescribe you and diagnose you with what's wrong with you. A big point to know about this whole idea of psychiatric drugs is the people prescribing them, the psychiatrists. They are very greedy. Psychiatrists make a lot of money prescribing these drugs. If you didn't know, the industry of psychiatry is a $330 billion thing. That's a lot of money being put into it. Along with that, these psychiatrists can earn around $150 or more just for 3 15-minute video or 3 15-minute sessions with clients. That's not a lot of time, and that tells you they're pushing those drugs. Along with that, many of these psychiatrists, as I said earlier, they prescribe without knowing enough about you or if you really have the disorder. That is kind of scary, considering you're putting a foreign substance into your body that you didn't have before and you may not need. Altogether, the point is that these psychiatrists, they only spend 15 minutes or less with you in an appointment. This is not enough time. And many psychiatrists also do not offer talk therapy. There are some psychiatrists you can go to, and they can be your therapist and psychiatrist in one, where they can get to know what's going on and the problems you're facing. But normally, you go in for 15 minutes, and that's all you see of them. That's all they get of you. You come in, they prescribe, you leave, you come back, they evaluate, they prescribe. That's it. Along with these psychiatric medications being prescribed very easily and not thoroughly with diagnosis, let's talk about children and the effects that these drugs have on them. Altogether, 10 million children take psychiatric medications worldwide. Some of these different medications are antidepressants, mood stabilizers, and the most common one is stimulants that are treating ADHD. It's problematic for many reasons, especially for these young children. Let's talk about the stimulants and the effects that they have on these children's poor developing bodies and mind states. Studies show that a child's brain isn't fully developed until the age of 25, meaning we're not developed until we are an adult of 25 years old. That is problematic because we don't know what's going on as far as brain chemistry within the child. Along with that, many children's brains aren't even developed to 80% by age 5 and not to 100% even past age 10. This means we are putting foreign substances into these kids' brains that could be affecting with the chemicals in there, and that could affect them for a lifetime. Along with that, these medications stunt children's growth. As all of us know, children need to have the proper nutrients to grow and be healthy as an adult. These stimulants cause children to not want to eat a lot. They make them, feel like they are not hungry. Therefore, the child is not getting the nutrients they need, and that is a problem. Therefore, medication is not good for children, especially these stimulants. Along with stimulants affecting children, there's many effects of the different psychoactive drugs on children. Some of these other psychoactive drugs I'm going to be speaking about is antidepressants, mood stabilizers, and so on in the children's life. Basically, what was stated in my studies is that children develop emotional disorders 6 to 8 years after starting treatment with these drugs, which means these drugs actually aren't helping the children. They're actually setting them back and hindering them if these different emotional disorders are still popping up within that time. As far as children go, it's unsafe. Now let's talk about adults and the precautions that they have to look at and advise before taking these medications. Adults that take psychiatric medications have many different factors that can affect them from the pills. Every single pill you take has a long list of factors that can affect you and side effects that can worsen, your daily life and the things you're doing. Some of the different effects that I'm going to list off right now are some common ones that occur in everybody, no matter what kind of drug they're taking in the psychoactive field. Some of these traits are weight gain, which is usually caused from antidepressants and mood stabilizers. The second is emotional flattening. The third is sleep disturbances. The fourth is sexual dysfunction. And the fifth is hyperprolactinemia. Out of these things I just shared with you, there's two that are very important to note and be aware of. The first one is emotional flattening. Emotional flattening is basically when you are not able to express your emotions properly anymore. What happens is people who are on these antipsychotic drugs get to a point where they cannot feel certain things. They don't feel too happy, they don't feel too sad, they don't get upset, they don't express on a wide range. This shows in many ways. Some of these ways is in reduced expression and displays of emotion. Sometimes it's a monotone voice. They show lack of interest in events. And then altogether, their verbal and nonverbal communication is not to core where it should be. This can be very problematic, especially for somebody who is dealing with mood disorder, as when they take these drugs, feeling nothing can make you feel even worse and even more depressed. I thought the point of these drugs was to balance you. Along with the mood not showing, there's also the issue of hyperprolactinemia condition. Basically, this is a condition that occurs when you have higher than normal levels of prolactin in your blood. It's a hormone and it can affect different things for people. Two of the big effects that it has on people is, for one, in women who have children, they are unable to produce breast milk. This is not cool in the fact that these women want to be able to give their children the proper nutrients, and how can they do that naturally with their non-production of breast milk? Along with that, this hormone being over the amount affects sex hormones in estrogen and testosterone, which leads to sexual deficiency. For people, all over the world, they know that being able to share moments with people intimately is huge to them, and not being able to have those moments can decline in your happiness. Altogether, these pills are not very safe. It's hard for you to know if they're going to help you or not. It's hard for you to know if the psychiatrist is doing their job or not. And it's hard to be sure if it's affecting you or the children you have in a bad way. To give you some factual information about how these drugs have hindered our society recently, I have statistics from 1999 until 2014. I saw that drugs increased to 117%, meaning it was prescribed more in that period. And also in that same time period of 1999 until 2014, suicide increased 24%. Those are the numbers. You make the decision.